FIABCI Ukraine and Synchrospace present Innovative Solutions in Sustainable Development, in interview with FIABCI experts from 5 continents.
Hello friends from Ukraine, I am Tony Hanna, real estate shark. I'm really happy to be here with you. And let me tell you a little bit about me. I am past president of National Association of Realtors. I am past president of Confederación Inmobiliaria Latinoamericana, that is the umbrella organization of real estate in all Latin America. I am past president of FIABCI Americas, that is all the real estate associations and works and professions around the Americas continent. And I am past president of FIABCI Exchange Committee from this great organization.
I was also served as very important counselor for urban planning and urban development. And for the past few months, I also make very important decision and participate for city, including the 2050 city vision, and also about the transportation-oriented development proposal. At the same time, also about the Taichung Airport second phase development. So I think I had really strong passion towards the sustainable city and the smart city.
Hi, I'm Andres Correa, an architect and urban designer. I'm the current Young Members President for FIABCI and the Chapter President of Colombia.
Good morning. My name is Gbenga Ismail. I'm from Nigeria. I practice in Nigeria and I am a chartered surveyor, real estate consultant. We've been in the business of advising clients and stakeholders for over 45 years, and we've acted variably in the improvement of built environment in Nigeria.
My name is Mahmoud Al-Burai. I'm a senior advisor in Dubai government for the last few years. Before that, leading one of the government entities in real estate. In addition to that, I used to be the chairman of the United Nations Global Compact in the UAE, which is the largest sustainability initiative worldwide that aims to make cities more sustainable. In addition to that, I recently joined the UNDRR Arise UAE, which is the disaster risk reduction network in the UAE, representing the private sector in its efforts to make Dubai and the United Arab Emirates more sustainable, but at the same time more resilient.
My name is Brian Chaplock. I'm a chartered accountant and auditor by profession, but I'm mostly an entrepreneur that is passionate about growing business in the real estate sector. Smart cities and innovation is my passion. I'm from South Africa and I live in the beautiful capital city of Pretoria.
I am a Secretary General of Federation of Spanish Real Estate Association, Board Director of Catalan Real Estate Association, and Global Ambassador of Barcelona Chamber of Commerce.
Good day to you. My name is Sopon Pornchokchai. I'm the President of FIABCI Thailand. My involvement in sustainable development is that I was the focal point for the United Nations Global Compact in the past, and I also teach corporate social responsibility in universities in Thailand and other countries.
I am Susan Greenfield, and I've been a real estate professional for the last 4 decades. I live and work in the largest and most densely populated city in the world, New York City. Living and working in Manhattan has sometimes been a challenge, but I have enjoyed a very successful career in most of the sectors of our business. I'm not a developer, but I have worked with many developers, and the developer looks to me to achieve their objectives once they complete their projects. I've sold many new developments over these years.
We asked our experts to comment which were the main challenges in sustainable development for the last years in their areas.
Today, I'd like to introduce Taichung City about two issues. One is about the heat stress, and the second is about the bicycle infrastructure. We know that heat stress is the global issue and problem, not only in Taiwan, but the same in the world. And every city, every country, and every place actually, to solve the heat stress problem is actually has to respond to the local contents, particularly their geography. Taichung City, we can see from the slides that Taichung City has a very unique character. All the rivers actually coming from southeast and all merge to the Taiwan Strait. So in summer, most of the winds are actually coming from the southwest. That means we can bring the cool air come to the city through the rivers and tunnel. That actually is a natural ventilation to reduce the heat. And the second is that the wind actually for winter, we have very high mountains in Taiwan. Actually, Taiwan is a beautiful island and named by Netherlands people when they were here in the 16th century. They called Formosa. That means the most beautiful city, the most beautiful island. And in Taiwan, actually, about 75% of the land is covered by the mountains, and only 25% of the land actually that is usable for the city or for people to live. 75% of the mountain, actually, we have about 256 numbers of mountains that is over 3,000 actually, 3,000 meter high. That means when winter came over, the wind come from the north direction. In Taichung City, actually, we were blocked by the mountain. So I think every city has their own solution towards heat stress. But for Taichung solution today, I'd like to introduce, I think it's come to the period and the time that all the city in the world and in global that we have to facing the heat problem. Not just coming from the carbon emission, but at the same time that because our environment, we have too much population, too many populations, too many buildings, and at the same time that actually block the wind. So I think for environment issue, one issue is that actually buildings block the wind will be the major problem in Taichung City. And the second issue is that facing the permanent open space, usually like the park or the river, most of the developers will facing the permanent open space and leave less empty space for the wind to go through. So in Taiwan, in Taichung City, the heat stress actually, we come out a very good solution. As you can see from the slides that we actually have a very strong regulation. It's in process that recommended eventually for become one of the regulation and the policy. That is the buildings. Regarding to the wind corridor, that we do come out a very smart solution and become our policy and regulation. That is the building from the site. If they are facing the permanent open space, it has to set back 6 meters. And within the site, between the buildings and buildings, has to have at least 6 meter difference in the space so that wind can go through. For the site to the neighbor, that we have to set back at least 3 meters so that we can allow enough wind for our neighbor and ourselves. And with this wind corridor policy, actually in the near future that all the real estate and developers, if they follow the policy, actually they will win the volume reward 5%. That is quite high. So I think this is a really smart solution towards the heat stress. However, the heat stress in urban area is not only for the wind corridor that they can go through and penetrate. Another issue is that we have too much hard paving and not enough green area. So that means actually to have enough shading in the city, in the urban area, is also important. So the second regulation is actually not encouraging only the wind corridor, but also the shade facility will be included. And as the slides you will see, that actually become a really important policy and the regulation in Taichung City. I think in Taichung City, the most wonderful place is that actually with the wind, give the way to wind is a really important concept. And that we actually have a very strong integration together with the wind corridor, the green belt, and the river together. I think that is a total solution with the most wonderful and natural way to solve the heat stress. The second issue I'd like to introduce today is that Taiwan, as you know, is at the kingdom of bicycle manufacturing. In the world, actually 50% of the bicycle come from Taiwan. And most of the industries actually come from Taichung. Unbelievable. So for the city, that bicycle infrastructure is definitely one of the major goals for our city mayor and the city development. We do have a very thoughtful infrastructure system, as you will see from the slides. And today I'm going to introduce two major concepts. One concept is that after we have the elevated railway, under the infrastructure, actually we try to cooperate with the human being sidewalk and the cycling system together with the greenery belt. From the slide, you will see the most important thing under the infrastructure is one, for people, sidewalk, comfortable sidewalk. Second, for bicycle, safety and the comfortable cycling track. And the third, the most important thing is actually for eco-city. We have many trees, many bushes, and I think that is very important. Not just the bicycle infrastructure. In Taiwan, in Taichung, all the bicycle infrastructure has to cooperate with sidewalk for human being, for safety and livable and comfortable concern. And the second is for greenery. We always integrated trees and bushes together. The second concept for bicycle infrastructure I'd like to introduce is the Emerald Road necklace. That is built in Japanese colonial period. We call beautiful Emerald necklace green belt. That was built almost 100 years ago. For that green belt, we do have most of the parts connected together. You will see also from the slides. But some part of them are missing with the bicycle infrastructure. So the proposal here actually important is not just for the green belt, but at the same time we try to connect the bicycle track together. And I think that is the most important thing for Taichung City. Not just build up the new things, but cooperate with our history, with our background together to solve the city, and also connect the most beautiful green area together is also a very smart solution. So I'm very glad and honored to introduce you Taichung City, the beautiful city with the bicycle infrastructure. Hopefully that all of you can come to visit our city. Thank you.
And what about challenges in South Africa?
The World Bank has deemed South Africa the world's most unequal society, estimating that the top 10% of the population owns about 70% of the nation's assets, and that was determined in 2015. Because South Africa has such a large disparity between the rich and the poor citizens, it has been trying to narrow that gap by investing in basic services for the poor while trying to meet the urban development infrastructure needs of the middle class and the wealthy citizens. The infrastructure budget is correctly skewed towards providing basic services for the largely poor citizens while spending less on sustainable infrastructure development. Sustainable infrastructure development does not take cognizance of how the needs of the citizens have changed over the internet revolution. Funding has been limited Thus, only certain areas has received certain benefits. So government are lagging behind and they remain reactive in their response. Government responds to the needs of the voters, which is short-term, but should actually be focusing on the long-term needs of citizens, irrespective of their political affiliations. So when looking at the challenges that are relevant now and in the coming years, citizens are more urbanized and they focused on wealth and they focus on their health. Specifically, the needs of the young working class is misunderstood. The government spending is missing the needs of the working youth. So sustainable urban development should engage the internet generation and aim to meet their needs. So we're looking at these challenges and we see empty commercial buildings are developing because of the economic downturn. COVID-19 has created new options for working remotely. So the ratio per staff member in an office space is making the rate per square meter unaffordable. So crime in the inner city is also increasing. We find instances where there are buildings being illegally occupied. We call it building hijacking, and this is increasing. But what citizens need, they need real-time online information about certain crime hotspots. They also want to know about high-risk areas, and this should reflect on their mobile devices as they are citizens or tourists.
What about the challenges in Mexico?
Let me tell you a little bit about the challenge that we have in Mexico. Now we try to be more involved in the line of the affordable houses. You know, the United Nations tried to be in a work program to try to put the people near of the works, of the schools, of near of all the services that they need, and try to do houses with the conditions and with the square meters and everything that really the people need. They don't want that 4 or 5 people sleep in one room and things like that. So I think that now the most important challenge that we have is try to be on the line of the affordable houses, but we are working on them. Let me tell you something. The government plan tried to be more involved in the downtowns of the cities around Mexico. Years ago, the developers built the projects far from the downtowns of the cities. And now the government are working to try to put these developers and these developments near of the downtowns of the countries, and they are working and they are doing a great job. Now in Mexico City, like an example, they do it at different places. If you can develop a new building or something like that one, you have to build a big complex. You want to put 3 or 4 buildings from people, maybe in a different situation of money, okay, in the upside of the business, and you have to put a little, like maybe 1 building to the people of medium class or maybe low class. So they're gonna give you many advantages to build that one. So they are working on them, and that is a very good project, and I think that in the next years in Mexico you're gonna see many important things.
What about Thailand? What are the main challenges there?
Our main challenge is that we have too limited green areas and also bicycle lanes. You may know that Bangkok has a total area of around 1,600 square kilometers. The metropolitan area may be around 8,000 square kilometers. However, for the green areas and bicycle lanes, we have only 2% of the total area only. So this is not enough for us.
And which challenges does Spain facing today?
The main challenge in sustainable urban development, climate change, which is not affecting not only us, but also the rest of the world. Barcelona has declared a climate emergency.
And what is the situation in the United Arab Emirates?
One of the major challenges we're facing here in Dubai is how to get people into the healthy practices and behavior of sustainability. If we consume the resources the way that Dubai people and the United Arab Emirates people consume, we will need 4 times of the resources. So the consumption behavior is unsustainable. How we make our city healthier, and that requires a lot of investment and social engineering infrastructure, making the city walkable, making the city bikeable, and making people actually healthier. There's one of the statistics shows that 60% of people here are overweight. So the way that we exercise, the way we go to work, the way we do our daily life activities is not sustainable.
And what about situation in Nigeria?
We're talking about sustainable urban development. Like I said, I live and practice in Nigeria, and in Nigeria, one of our biggest problems is the population. And because we have had rapid population increases, we've had serious challenges in urbanization and in ability to provide necessary requirements, urban requirements for the citizens. So particularly I refer to Lagos, which is where I live. We have a situation whereby there's an overdevelopment and less of interactive space, walking, pedestrian walking space, green areas for people to interact and play, and effectively open space areas, if I may use that terminology. So we have more concrete areas than green space areas or soft areas, put it that way. Get people to live in areas where there's not enough land to build. So one of the things we have to look at is really bring in more land from bordering states around Lagos and further out of Lagos. We get those areas to develop so that people can live within those areas rather than migrate into Lagos and Abuja or even Port Harcourt. The 3 main cities we have in Nigeria. And effectively then we can start talking on sustainable urban development. We can bring in the various fundamentals of livability index, interactive.
And what about situation in Colombia?
I come from Bogota, Colombia, a city of almost 10 million people, metropolitan-wise. But like many other cities, and big cities, have many problems. One of them is definitely the way that we deal with our waterfronts. We have the Bogota River. There is a natural barrier to the west of the city that for many decades has been contaminated. And unfortunately, no plan until last administration was done to recover that river and create a new type of development across the river that would join the ecological and sustainable side with the need for housing that we are very much in need. Unfortunately, because of the informality of and the precarious part of this river, a lot of the informal settlements have actually settled there, and we need to really upgrade those settlements to meet the minimal standards. We'll see and we'll discuss within these panels many of the different issues that are happening around the world, and I hope we can actually share with you our experiences that we actually have in Colombia. One of them, and one actually we're very proud of, is the implementation of the different bicycle routes without Bogota.
What about situation in the United States of America?
Quality of life is very important here in our city. New York City is comprised of 5 boroughs: Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, and Staten Island. Manhattan is an island that's surrounded on all sides by water. The boroughs of Brooklyn and Queens are also a part of New York City. I don't want to forget Staten Island. It's also an island surrounded by water. New York City is comprised of a mosaic of neighborhoods. The shorelines of the surrounding waterways of the Hudson River, the East River, and the Gowanus were all industrial locations where industrial facilities and plants were located. Over the years, they were feeding our waterways with toxic pollution. When the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center were developed in the 1960s, the sand that was excavated to build the foundation was deposited on an area where the Battery Park sits now. Battery Park, at the tip of the Manhattan Island, had a 52-acre sand pit for many years. It wasn't until the 1980s that the plans that were originally on the drawing board were finally implemented to create the parks, residential developments, and recreational sites that are there today. The west side of Manhattan, all the way to the Bronx, now has a developed, beautiful Hudson River Park that has a beautiful esplanade, and then the Hudson River Park goes all the way up to the Bronx with a series of bicycle paths and jogging lanes, recreational areas for enjoyment of all, baseball parks and soccer fields, swings, playgrounds. The pollution that was once a constant is no longer the case. So you can kayak and fish in the waters there, and many people even dine out in the restaurants that are all along the shore. The serenity and the environment, thanks to the reclamation of the shorelines, provide a nice environment.
The last question we asked our colleagues was which solutions have already been implemented in your area?
If we look at the novelties that has already been implemented in our country, South Africa has been growing their urban infrastructure over the past few years. Since hosting the 2010 Soccer World Cup, this resulted in infrastructure development of soccer stadiums, recreational facilities, increased transport networks, and more facilities to attract tourists. South Africa has built 5 new stadiums and upgraded existing stadiums to world-class standards. We have improved the telecommunication networks so we can improve affordable high-speed internet services for citizens. Even Pretoria has got free allocation of data for inner city dwellers. If we look at the novelties that has already been implemented in our area, we've seen that the internet penetration in South Africa stood at 62% January this year. So it means the population of South Africa is about 59 million, already has 36.5 million active internet users. So residential and commercial buildings are now able to use biometric systems for control access and for managing people's movements. Parking systems are working off apps in certain places. Their app-driven services has increased at phenomenal rates. The payment systems are mobile and we have QR-driven pay points. High-speed rail systems are available to more commuters, and now it links the airport even to close to your residence. The fiber network is growing at an enormous rate, making smart city concepts more and more realistic. If we look at the innovation of technological projects in our sustainable development for the city, we've seen that the inner cities has actually developed rapid bus systems, and that has been successfully implemented. We rolled out free Wi-Fi in some of the large cities. The fiber infrastructure is really being rolled out nationally. Water metering systems are being rolled out. Rooftops of buildings and parking bays are being converted to solar panels to enhance the usage of renewable energy. If we look at some of those success stories, inner city rapid bus systems has been successfully implemented in Pretoria. It's called Arieng. Johannesburg, it's called Rea Vaya, and Cape Town, it's called My City. The free internet service in Pretoria is called Wi-Fi, and the free internet service in Johannesburg is called COJ Smart Wi-Fi.
Effectively, Nigeria, we're behind the curve right now, but we are making plans, and we have an urban development plan, especially linked to the Resilient Cities initiative of the United Nations. So we are working on this. I know for Lagos State, the government is doing a lot of things to make this happen. Connectivity, we started bringing in some aspects of what smart cities need to look like and be like. But we're still far from this, and we still have a lot to do. Green buildings that have effectively come into place, that have brought things like energy and water resource management, that we will, Lagos will have a different look, and Nigeria itself will be fulfilling most of the Resilient Cities goals as we put a lot of these sustainable urban plans in place.
In Mexico, you can see many different projects around our country. You can see in Mexico City neighborhoods like Santa Fe or Polanco that they have many different buildings. And one of them is Carso. Carso is the company of Carlos Slim, one of the richest men around the world. You can see it too in many places, like in Riviera Maya, like in Cancun, places like Puerto Cancun, and inside of Puerto Cancun, you can see one building that is amazing. The name is Shark Tower. Or you can see all in the Riviera Maya, Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Tulum, many different buildings, projects, and a lot of complex. One of them, you can see this company. The name is Cinca, and you can see all of them products.
In Bangkok, during the past 5 to 10 years, we try to have a lot of novelties in green buildings, green development, and sustainable development. One aspect is the development of bicycle lanes and also park along the lakes. We have several lakes, so this is something that we are trying to develop with innovation in this sort of development, and we hope with our effort in the future, in the really near future, our city will be more livable and also favorable for people to stay with peace. We have many new roads during the past 5 to 10 years, and many new roads we also equipped with bicycle lanes, and this will be very good for exercise and for peaceful life, and with the protection for the bicycle population. So this is what we try to do. And one major project is that we try to connect parks together with bicycle lanes. You may know that in Bangkok, we have one big park called Lumpini Park. This is the largest and also the first park in Bangkok. We try to put this park and another park called Benjakiti to connect together with bicycle lane. What we call is that it is bicycle lane in the sky, because we have flyover for the bicycle lane, and this will be a good example for innovation, so that we will keep green area together as well as the enjoyment of bicycle lane.
The East River also has had an interesting history too. Many of you don't know that the United Nations sits on land that also was originally slaughterhouses on the East River, also polluting the East River. Restoring and reimagining and improving our city has always been a constant effort. In the past year gone by, the Gowanus was one of Brooklyn's main industrial hubs. So it should come to no surprise that the neighborhoods with the namesake Gowanus Canal was heavily polluted. It was one of the most toxic and polluted sites in the United States. Warehouses expelled their waste into the canal, which ultimately emptied into the Gowanus Bay. So over time, black mayonnaise developed on the sediment of the canal, and the canal was so polluted that the Environmental Protection Agency declared it a Superfund site. It was so bad that it was flagged high priority. The Gowanus Canal has been in the midst of a multi-year $500 million toxic waste cleanup project, an early stage of the $500 million Superfund, which was federally funded. The cleanup was to dredge the bottom of the canal, which has been done and is continuing as we speak. At the same time, New York City is spending about $1 billion to reduce the sewage discharge into the canal and the street flooding around it. Most important, the city was prepared to unleash a force that they held largely back for the first 2 decades of the Gowanus Renaissance.
Barcelona has a specific plan for the climate emergency, preventing excessive heat, having more sustainable building, recovering terrace roofs, optimizing the water cycle, preserving the seafront. This new ordinance allowed for a new innovation district called 22 Art. 22 Art is a building a new compact city where the most innovative companies coexist with institutions, universities, research, training and technology centers, as well as housing 4,000 new subsidized residence facilities, 145,000 square meters of land, and green areas, 114,000 square meters.
Thank you very much for FIABCI Ukraine to invite me to the Synchro Space 2020 awesome event. It's an absolute pleasure to participate.
Happy to be one of the judges in some of the projects that I have seen now, and I think it's the direction we all should be going into, and I say congratulations to FIABCI Ukraine for putting this together. Thank you very much.
And thank you for the invitations, and see you soon. Thank you, FIABCI Ukraine. Thank you for our friends, and God bless you. Remember, Tony Hanna, the real estate shark.
Thank you for inviting me to participate today. I especially want to congratulate FIABCI Ukraine for always being innovative and active in the Federation.